Dave Weinberg, 97.3 ESPN.com is where you can check out his Extra Points column. And if you read it on 97.3 ESPN.com this weekend, you saw there was a common theme to the Eagles. And that theme, Dave Weinberg, seemed to be the need for speed. That was a common theme in just about everything they did this weekend. The linebackers, wide receivers, everything they went for seemed to have speed in mind.
Yeah, Mike, that's what Harry Roseman was kind of preaching during all through the offseason, that, the team really needed to get faster, and his approach in free agency and then the draft kind of reflected that. You're right. They added a bunch of burners, especially at wide receiver. Now, whether those guys can find their way onto the field is another matter, but at least on paper, they have one of the faster teams now.
Yep. First off, they go get Jalen Reagor, and obviously a lot of people were kind of scratching their heads at that one. That wasn't even a pick that people were like all on board with, but Roseman kind of said that he fit Carson's skill set better, and I guess that is the fact that he could play inside, outside, bubble screens, jet sweeps. I mean, it sounds like they plan to use him, I would say, similar to like a Tyreek Hill in Kansas City.
Okay. I don't get it. I don't understand, if you have Justin Jefferson sitting there, why in the world would you even consider drafting Jalen Reagor ahead of him? The guy caught about 60 more passes, I think, than Reagor did during the regular season. He can also play inside and outside. He's not just a slot guy, despite what people may think. Reagor does have the advantage as far as maybe being the team's punt returner, which they really need now. But I'm not sure that was the best pick. But again, they're the experts. They get paid all the money, so we'll have to see how that works out. I don't understand the difference between Reagor and Nelson Aguilar. The fact that they both are fairly fast. They both drop a lot of passes.
Yeah, the drops would be a problem. If you bring a guy in and he has inconsistency with drops, then you're going to start hearing it. There's no question about that. And obviously they went out and got a couple other wideouts. Not sure that any of those guys, that was the one thing. They clearly needed wide receiver help. Then they got it in the first round, but they didn't stop there, Dave. I mean, they went and got one in the fifth, one in the sixth. They traded for one, and it's like, okay, I get it. You needed wide receiver help, but how many receivers can you keep on the roster?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where Hightower and the other guy fit. I mean, Marquise Goodwin obviously is going to be one of the guys, and he deserves to be as long as he can stay healthy, which he hasn't been able to do for a while. But on paper, he's definitely an upgrade there. But yeah, you added a lot of depth, but I don't know who they replaced. I mean, you drafted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the second round. I mean, are you automatically giving up on him after 1 year? I don't really think so. And Greg Ward proved that he deserves to be on this football team. Just on his stability, his playmaking ability. He was patient, he waited his turn, and he made the most of his opportunity. I really think that he deserves a spot too. So I'm with you. I'm not quite sure how everybody fits in here. They seem like they have too many wide receivers and not enough spots for everybody.
Yeah, as much as I thought that they needed wide out help, I thought they got some, and then I thought they went a little overboard, that they could have ease some of the areas that they didn't connect on. They didn't get a corner. They did get a safety in round number 3, obviously, with a kid from Clemson. Not sure where he fits in particularly for this year, but maybe down the road when Rodney McLeod moves on, they're going to try Jalen Mills there. But obviously, the most controversial pick came in round number 2 at 53. Now, I don't have a huge problem with the pick. I kind of like it with what's going on in this league, but I know that you are on the other side on this one and are still scratching your head about why Jalen Hurts was the pick. Now, if you listen to what Sal Powell said on ESPN's SportsCenter last night, he indicated that he thought that this was a heavily influenced Doug Peterson pick.
Maybe. I mean, this just tells me that they're no longer convinced that Carson Wentz is their franchise quarterback, that he cannot stay healthy long enough to pay off the way they envisioned. I don't know how else you can read it, because they just gave him the giant contract extension. They thought he was their guy. He keeps saying it, but then he doesn't make it through the first playoff game that he's played in, and he's been hurt three straight years now. Well, actually 4 if you count the preseason of his rookie year. So, I guess they're thinking that maybe they can't count on him anymore. And they just thought that Hurts was too good to pass up. I just thought it's not the fact that I'm against Jalen Hurts. I thought he was a tremendous college quarterback.
Yeah.
But there were other needs there, and there were players that fit those needs. I don't see how you draft a guy in the second round to sit the bench. And to not even be, if you're really considering Wentz to be your franchise guy, why would you draft the second round guy to just sit there for a couple more years? I don't get it.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of things. Like, I think at 53, it might have been a stretch. Now, if you listen to what a lot of people are starting to kind of say is the Eagles didn't pick again till 103, and they really didn't think he was going to get there. So did they maybe take him a little early? Sure. But they also liked him enough to say we weren't going to get him at 103, so let's just take him now. I don't know how much merit that adds to really liking this guy, but it sounds as if they're planning on using him more than just a backup quarterback. Does that add to anything for you?
No. I hear people talking about the Taysom Hill comparison. That makes no sense to me. Hill plays on special teams. He's a blocking guy. He can run the ball, throw the ball a little bit. If you want to compare him more to Lamar Jackson, okay, but I'm just kind of I'm not quite getting where that fits. I mean, Lamar did a great job of being that so-called trick play quarterback. They had a package specifically designed for him when Joe Flacco was the starter. But then the second year, who was the starter? Lamar Jackson. So are you telling me now that Jalen Hurts is going to be the trick play guy for a year, and then you're shipping Wentz out and Hurts is your guy? Mm-hmm. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me either. So I'm not really sure. I'm just not convinced that it was the right pick to make.
And look, obviously, I feel like a lot of people are down that road. There's no question about it. You mentioned, that they must have concerns about Wentz. Now, Howie Roseman was on Pro Football Talk and basically went through the litany of times they've needed a backup quarterback. 2002, and that saved their seed. They got the number one seed. He went down to Jeff Garcia. He talked about Foles in 2013. He obviously talked about Foles again. So this team has had to have gone to a backup. He talked about the one time that they were ill-prepared at backup when they had to use Mike McMahon, and that season didn't go so well. So they obviously value that position, and it sounds like they value that position almost more than, say, who's their starting linebacker or who their starting safety is.
Yeah, obviously, although I don't agree. I mean, I'm not quite getting with quarterbacks 3, really. That's what you're going to go with. I know they drafted Kevin Cobb
right
in the second round, but they drafted Kevin Cobb to be Donovan McNabb's successor. I know they wound up trading him, but if you recall, he was the starting quarterback until he suffered a concussion in his first game. Vic came in and then, turned the league upside down, and so there was no way that Kevin was going to get another shot there. So, I understand you need a backup quarterback, but they've proven that they can get things done with guys who aren't second round picks. I mean,
one of the big things, Dave, one of the big things, I guess, and I want to get your take on this, is the amount of money they had to spend on these backup quarterbacks in the past has really, I don't want to say hamstrung them, but you got to pay Nick Foles $16 million, which means you can't add depth at other positions. So now they only have to pay this guy a very limited amount of money over the next 4 years, which allows them to spend that money in these other areas. No?
Yeah, I guess. But I'm just not. You're not going to convince me, Mike. I'm sorry, but I just don't. I don't see why you spend that high of a draft pick on a guy that's not going to play. I mean, I know they did that with Sidney Jones. Sidney Jones was regarded as a first round prospect who was going to develop, but yeah, again, he didn't work out so well either.
No.
So, I just don't. I don't know why you wouldn't just sign a veteran like Joe Flacco if you wanted to kind of like hold down the fort in the event that Carson gets hurt again. And then maybe if you really truly believe that he's not going to be your guy, then take one of those guys next year. Take the guy from Clemson, Trevor Lawrence, if you want. But I don't know. I just didn't. The pieces of the puzzle just didn't fit for me. Again, but Howie's always claims to be the smartest guy in the room, so we'll find out if he's right or not.
By the way, if they're in play for Trevor Lawrence next year, they had a really bad season. just to throw that out there. Dave Weinberg. No, and by the way, this team, you mentioned, I find the irony here is in 2016 they go 7-9, and they draft a Sidney Jones in the second round, and people were ballistic that they had needs at that spot for a team that was just average. How could they draft a player that you knew wasn't going to play, and they end up winning the Super Bowl? And then the second round pick that they took in that draft hasn't worked out. So what do people want to do now? They want to draft a guy in the second round to replace the second round pick that didn't work out.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, if you're going to draft the best player available, I guess then Jalen Hurts fits the criteria there. But they had so many other needs. There were linebackers there were safeties there that even defensive linemen that really could have helped your team and made immediate impacts. Yeah. Not to say that those guys they drafted later in the draft aren't going to be able to won't pan out. I'm sure they will, but or maybe they will. But I was stunned when they made that pick.
I was a little surprised. Believe me, I wasn't like, see, I told you the whole time. I was a little surprised. Now, some of the guys after, I guess it was being reported that they had some interest in Jeremy Chin, the safety, J.K. Dobbins, the running back, and they elected to go with Hurts over those two guys. I guess they needed a linebacker. I don't know if there was a linebacker on the board at that spot that really jumped off. I guess they could have took the kid Epinesa, who was a first-round talent, who got picked right after them. There was a couple receivers, Denzel Mims and Van Jefferson, but as we kind of talked about, they've got so many receivers now where you're going to add another receiver in the second round, which essentially means that guy has to make the team. So that's why I kind of can reason with, all right, they took as you just said, Dave, they took the best guy they thought they could hit. They're going to be creative with him, not just have him holding a clipboard.
Well, the fact that Marty Mornhinweg was on the staff, that helps a lot. I mean, he had a lot to do with Lamar Jackson's development, and also with Donovan McNabb also, as a matter of fact, and Michael Vick. So when he was with the Eagles. So, he knows quarterbacks. He knows how to get the most out of their abilities. So, if anybody can create a system or a package to take advantage of Jalen Hurts' strengths, it's Marty. So I guess by that realm of thinking, then I guess it was a pretty good pick.
Your favorite pick did you have one that you were like, now that's a guy that I really liked that they ended up getting? I mean, it doesn't seem that there was a lot of high profile names in this draft for them, but was there one that you did like?
The Eagles pick?
Yes.
I really like Javon Wallace, the safety out of Clemson. I think that he's going to wind up being the most productive guy that they took this year. He's not the fastest guy, but he's a very smart football player. He's a ball hawk, very physical player. I do think that he might be able to make an impact right away. Not necessarily as a starter, I guess, but I mean, I think he's going to find his way onto the football field at some point this year, and I think he'll be the guy that you're going to point to in this draft and say, wow, they really made a great pick there.
All right, Dave Weinberg. Check him out at 97.3 ESPN.com. His extra points column on the draft, the need for speed. They got plenty of it. He talks a lot more about that at 973 ESPN.com, at Dave Weinberg 19 on Twitter. You can give him a follow there and check out his extra points as he joined us here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. All right, Dave, I didn't convince you, but it was a fun conversation.
Thanks, Mike. I enjoyed it.